when the mind can't do its work again, it starts to retire. So if you take your time and think, there's a Bible phrase that says, get knowledge, and for lack of knowledge, my people perish. So when you think about this one deeply, it means the mind was created to learn and improve.
Right.
So as soon as the mind can't learn again, can't improve again, it starts to retire. So I usually say this, when we become more flesh than spirit, we squeeze out the spirit out of the body and we die. When we get into courses, many of them are basically tied to lifestyle.
All right, so let's get into risk factors.
Yeah, risk factors. Yeah. I use the acronym BIG liars.
Big lies.
Big liars.
Big liars.
Big liars. B, blood flow. One of them is poor blood flow. So when you're not getting enough blood flowing to the brain.
Let me pull out my notes.
When you're not having enough blood flowing to the brain, you're likely to at some point suffer from dementia, because the brain needs blood to work. So if it's not getting blood, then there's a problem. So people suffering from chronic diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, at some point, if they are not treated properly, they could suffer from dementia. It's been proven.
Oh.
The I is infection.
I is infection.
Yes, so infections can also lead to dementia. There's an infection called syphilis. It's all known. It could make somebody even crazy. It gets to the brain, then it could affect the brain.
Okay.
So infections, so we need to watch that one.
Infections, any part of the body at all?
Yes, infection. If it's not properly treated, it could get to the brain.
It could get to the brain,
and it will affect the brain.
Okay.
The G stands for genes. So somebody will say, maybe my parents basically had it, so it's genetics. But I'll tell you this, genes are not destiny. Actually, it constitutes about 5%. Yeah, so
I like that.
We are not doomed by our genes.
Yeah.
So even when your parents had it, doesn't mean you have it.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people, and if you get into research, there are a lot of people who had parents suffering from dementia, but they never got it. So that constitutes about 5%. And again, there's something called epigenetics. You can dictate how your genes express. Oh. Yes, based on your thought and the things you do, which we're talking about. So genes are not destiny. That one has been flashed out.
Okay.
It shouldn't be a problem.
It just contributes about 5%, like you mentioned.
Yes.
That's it.
And the L stands for learning.
Learning.
Lack of learning.
Lack of learning. Okay.
So for lack of learning, the brain is likely to atrophy. For lack of learning, the brain is likely to atrophy, decline.
Yeah.
For lack of knowledge, my people perish. Yeah. For lack of knowledge, the brain is likely to decline. So if you stop learning, you start dying. Einstein wrote it. I'm now understanding it. So if you even get into it, all the things I'll talk about, things you do to prevent it, the best form is learning. And we'll talk about it, when we get to...
Okay, and there's still Good Living segments right here on Prime Morning. My guest, Godaful, is still here. And we have started talking on the risk factors. We are talking about dementia. Please get interactive with us, okay? On all our social media platforms. The WhatsApp number is 055-157-5757. And the Facebook page is Joy Prime TV. Get into the comment section, and any question that you have about dementia, he's here to answer it all for you. So the risk factors, well, he mentioned an abbreviation, not an abbreviation per se, but an acronym, yeah. Big liars. So we are done with B, which is blood flow, I, infections, G, the genes, L, lack of learning, and that was where we got.
Yeah, that was where we got. Yeah, so it's becoming vitally important for all of us to become philomaths, love of learning. We all need to learn, because when you learn, we'll talk about it, it expands your brain, and anything you learn something new, you make a new connection in your brain. So the more you learn, the bigger the connection in your brain. So something we'll be talking about called cognitive reserve. If you have that one, let all these things happen, you're likely not to even suffer from dementia. So that's a major defense. When the Bible says get knowledge, God knows what he's talking about. When he says meditate on my word day and night, he knows what he's talking about.
Exactly.
And I'll give you another survey from the UK. You know, there's the cup, we call it taxi. In the UK, we call it cup. For you to do that, you need to learn. They need to train you, you know. So you need to know the road network in London. It will take you about 4 years. It will take some time. Now, those who pass, when they check, usually they have a bigger hippocampus, bigger brain, you know. So the hippocampus gets bigger. Now, when they stop and they are tested again, it shrinks. You know, so when you are using your mind, you improve and the brain works better. That's how come, again, if you go to the Bible, it says, do not retire. The guy says, I've gotten everything. Now is the time to drink merry and sleep and enjoy.
God is still here, and we are still talking on dementia. And the acronyms, we got to L. Again, yeah, so lack of learning.
Yeah, we've talked about it. You see the power of acronyms. Yeah. You're not getting distracted. You know, we could always trace back to where we left off. So that's how to learn.
Yeah.
And again, we're not suffering from dementia.
Yeah.
We can remember
But you know, with the learning aspect, gaining knowledge, is there anything in particular that you have to constantly be feeding your mind?
Yes, I would say this. Some of them may sound a little bit unorthodox. There's something called pi challenge. Pi
challenge.
You know, pi, the digit, they run infinite. All the way, you know, it doesn't end. You know, so you could try to memorize some of them. I've tried to memorize 100 of them in sequence. My son has done 70. So when you do that, it trains your brain. You know, so every day you try to memorize, remember the number. And I got this because they use that to train the computers. You know, so the faster you can process it, the faster the computer becomes. You know, so if you want to train a computer, use the pi, has to process pi numbers. So same thing, and the computer is trying to mimic the mind of humans. So why not try to also memorize this one to improve your mind? It works.
It works.
It works, the pi challenge. So maybe when you have the time, I'll give you all the 100 numbers.
Yeah, and see how it goes.
All
right.
So that's something you want to learn on your own to stimulate the brain on a daily basis.
Right.
And I'll also say this one, maybe those who are religious might pick it up. If you have your Quran, if you have your Bible, it's something you need to be reading every day. You know, it also improves the brain. You know, and try to reason them out, understand it, decode the Bible. You know, because it's I don't want to be a pastor, sermonize today, but it's a spirit, you know. So you don't just read it like that. You try to understand it. It opens up your brain, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
You know, so don't question the Bible too much. Like some of us do, try to understand it. And when you do that, you understand it.
Okay.
You know, so you need to read something every day. And again, you need to learn a new word.
Okay.
You know, because I told you when you learn something new, you make a new connection. So you learn a new word every blessed day to expand your brain.
I learned a new word yesterday, erudite. Somebody who is knowledgeable, a learner.
Yeah, I know that word.
Yeah.
So you need to learn a new word every blessed day. I do that, you know. So my goal is to have a new word every blessed day.
Ooh.
You know, and it works. It opens up your brain. And again, what you could also do is to, when you learn, find a different technique to help you remember. You know, so I wrote this one. If you keep remembering, your brain gets stronger. If you keep forgetting, your brain grows slower. You know, so I'm learning something. I'll find a way to remember that one. You know, like dementia, how do I explain it? I need to do etymology, dig up the meaning of the word, find different ways of understanding it. Where did it come from? So I grow the network. It's not just knowing the meaning of dementia, but also know where it came from. So multiple network in the brain, but still knowing dementia. You know, it expands the mind. You know, I'll give you this one, nap. It's one of the things you do to basically prevent stress, and it's good for the mind as well. Here's the statistics. When you take a 26-minute nap, it improves your alertness by 54%.
You don't say.
Just 26 minutes.
26 minutes nap.
Very good for the brain. It also improves your performance by 34%. You know, so nap is super for the brain. That's how come I'm a little bit sad to see them being taken out of the schools, our secondary school, high schools. We used to have something called siesta.
Oh, they are?
We don't have it anymore. Maybe in the girls' school you have it, but boys' school we don't. Very good for the brain. You know. So, but I'm trying to prove a point. How did I learn this and still remember? I'm not just learning the statistics. I also tied it to something to help me remember the numbers for a very long time. So just knowing that will form one network. Find a way to link it to remember them more will form multiple networks. It grows the brain. You know, it grows the brain. So we need to learn and also know how to learn. So now it's becoming vitally important for everybody, regardless of your age, to know how to learn every day and know how to learn. You need to be on a dementia prevention program on a daily basis.
Every day.
Every day.
The rest of your life.
Because you don't want to be part of the 10 million people every year. You know, so learning is very, very important. Let's go to the next one. Big liars. Then I stands for inflammation.
Inflammation.
Yes, so for inflammation, you know these ones, sugar, too much sugar, you know, alcohol, they get your whole body, brain inflamed. You know, so inflammation is one of the major causes of dementia.
Okay.
And the A stands for amyloid plaques. Amyloid beta is a protein, you know. So over time, they build up between the synapses. You know, synapse is basically the connection between two brain cells. So they come in there. And that synapse is a representation of your memory. That synapse is a representation of your how you could think, ability of thinking. You know, so if that plaque is quite plastic, if it covers that network, that connection, then you have a problem. So it can't work properly, you know. So they said that was one of the major causes of dementia. Now they realized even when you have a pill and you clear the amyloid plaques, people couldn't still get better. Okay. So it's multiplicity of reasons, not just one factor.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to do with all these things that we are talking about, manage all these things that we are talking about.
Yeah.
So that one is something that we need to check. R is relationship.
Relationship.
Poor relationship.
Okay.
So some people are too isolated. We call them anti-so. Not too good. Loneliness. It kills the brain. You know, so if you don't maintain strong social connections, it kills your brain. You know, so you need to maintain social connections. You know, talk to your loved ones. You know, be a little bit social. It's good for your brain.